Yeah, I've been a little frustrated with the maximalists. I won't lie, including Max Kaiser. If you're watching, Max, I'm on you, because he's just like Brian. Bitcoin won. End of story. Everything else is a shit coin or whatever Max says. And again, much respect to pay to Max for all the work he's done over the past 10 years. You can't give it up. You have to give it up for the man. But I'm an engineer by design. You're a computer scientist. We want to create things to make the world better. And we don't want to just sit around and revel in, the perfect asset. And, that gets old after a while, in my opinion. So it's great to see the innovations. And again, you can't not see what Ethereum has done. They've done some incredible innovations. I'm in this space for the past 8 months because I looked at the DeFi summer after I was busy running for mayor of London and fighting for freedom of speech. And I looked at it and said, oh my gosh, this is real. And this is impressive. And this is decentralized. And this is the future. And if it wasn't for that, I wouldn't probably be in this space. And so, to just completely ignore that frustrates me by the maximalists and gets me to tune out a little bit. And so I appreciate you doing that. And again, you guys are clearly delivering something that has value. You're in the top 50, 60 market cap coins. I don't think many of those protocols are Bitcoin based. And Bitcoin is screaming out for that need. Someone recently said to me, I think it was Tyler Spalding of Flexa Networks, he said, Brian, he's like, I don't know if you're a Bitcoin maximalist, I don't know what you talk about. He's like, there's nothing to talk about because all you do is talk about how great it is, but there's no innovation, there's no what's next. And he said, actually, that's not what Bitcoin was even about. Wasn't created in the spirit of maximalism. It was actually created to create more opportunities. So I appreciate what you're doing. And it's fascinating, and you'll probably agree with me, Muneeb, to look at the top 50 market caps right now, look at those layer one protocols, look at what they were doing back in 17 and 18 and building them, and you see the AVAXs, we've had both founders on, the Algorands, the Trons, obviously Ethereum working way back then, the Solanas, and they've all, like you said, embraced that form of a smart contract, and now they're, real players in this space. And I always used to joke, we're running out of Ethereum co-founders because I only think there's a finite number of plays right now, and we're seeing them played out right now because they were built a few years ago during the bear market. And it's exciting to see what you're bringing to the table. So first of all, do you agree with my assessment of those things? And next of all, I want to go deep on what you're doing with Stacks.
Yeah, no, I think I absolutely agree, right? So a lot of people tell me that, Muneeb, one of your biggest weaknesses is that you're just too humble. Right. Like I think CoinDesk did a piece on me in like 2019. They had some list of like top 10 people and whatnot. And literally the tagline they used was the humble engineer. Right. So I think I'm trying to work on that, like just to like share more information with people. Like it's not the case that we are one of the bigger projects in Bitcoin. I think like we actually dwarf anything else. Like in the sense that when you talked about the top 50 projects, I think Stacks is now in top like number 50 or something, and it's only been live for a year, right? There's zero other Bitcoin projects in front of us. We are by far the largest Bitcoin project. Like there is more than $1 billion locked up in a smart contract in our ecosystem. I think there's one smart contract where people can actually earn a Bitcoin yield, right? Like pure Bitcoin yield, like you're actually receiving Bitcoin in your wallet, and something like 60-70 million dollars in Bitcoin has been transferred, right? Like if you start comparing like these stats to even Lightning Network, which is great, I'm friends with Elizabeth Stark, big fan of the work that they're doing. The total liquidity and available in the Lightning Network, like there's much more economic activity happening on Stacks already than some of these projects. And if you compare to things like Liquid or others, like there's basically like no comparison, right? Like Stacks blockchain is running at full capacity. There are like 30 plus startups that are building on it, and there's just a thriving community. So in many ways, like this is like the best response from the Bitcoin ecosystem to all the innovation that's happening. And I think it is a little bit surprising that the Maxi community is not fully behind it yet. But I'm noticing that people are slowly converting over, right? Like they see the benefits, they see everything that's happening over here, and they can see how this is good for Bitcoin. And I think that's the kind of like the key understanding. Like for example, as you mentioned that, what do you even talk about if you are a maximalist and you're just talking about a Bitcoin is sound money? But even some of the values that the Bitcoin community has. Like, for example, Bitcoin currently gets traded on centralized exchanges. Like most of the trading activity is on Binance and Coinbase and some other places. Ethereum people have decentralized options. They can go and trade on Uniswap, right? They can go and take a loan out in a stable coin in a completely decentralized fashion. People in Bitcoin would love to do that, right? Like in theory, but they are kind of like stuck on this idea of like, why is there a different gas asset? Why is there a governance token, right? And I think they really need to move past that, because you should look at, is this application useful to you, right? So a Uniswap-like system where you could go without any KYC in a completely decentralized manner, trade, is a better system than a centralized exchange, according to the values of the Bitcoin people who believe in decentralization, who believe in freedom, right? And a lot of Bitcoiners would say that I would love to use a decentralized alternative to BlockFi, right? And we are giving it to them, right? It's a little bit like, this is in line with your own values. But I think there has been such a negative reaction in the Bitcoin community to all the innovation that was happening outside, that they always point out the failures, right? They would point out like some sort of a scam that happened, right? And then basically be like, hey, everything is a scam. That's just nonsense, right? Like, or they would point out like some sort of an engineering mishap that happens in a protocol and not look at everything that's going right. You can't cherry pick your information sources and then be like, look, we're not going to engage in all the innovation that's happening, even though the products that are being built, they are in line with the values of being a Bitcoiner. So I think I really respect people like Eric Voorhees, who are early Bitcoiners, and they've completely accepted that all these decentralized protocols are actually good for Bitcoin, right? Like they increase decentralization, they provide a platform where many experiments can happen, and then some of the best ideas can actually come to Bitcoin. And this is a theory that a lot of Bitcoiners actually agree to, that let the experiments happen, and then some of the best ideas would eventually get implemented in Bitcoin. And Stacks is literally doing that, right? Like it is literally bringing all of those best applications to the Bitcoin ecosystem. And I think slowly we're seeing more and more Bitcoiners getting really, really excited about it.